Hello. Did I scare you guys? I hope I did. My God, Barbie the movie. A lot of people are comparing it with Starship Troopers because in Starship Troopers, the director refused to read the book, and the book is actually a pro-libertarian type of society. Basically, it's pretty much like for individualism and pro-meritocracy while being against collectivism, right? And the bugs are collectivists. Like you have the hive mind, which is the main bug, and then you have all the other drones doing their thing. It's kind of like a communist or a fascist utopia. But the people from the Federation, they're promoting individualism. And anyway, right, so the director didn't understand any of those nuances, and the director just decided to put some fascist paraphernalia, and he accidentally made a very base movie. A lot of people are comparing Barbie to that. I think it's a bad comparison, and not necessarily. Hello, Rozalhim. I think there's an even better comparison. Have you guys seen Bird Box? Bird Box, the movie. Oh my god, that was so great. When I made the review of it, everyone was like, but Devon Stack, Blackpilled. Blackpilled already made the review. And I watched it, and he didn't understand any of it. Because the thing is, like, yes, the writers wanted to make a progressive movie, but it accidentally made one of the most right-wing based movies out there. So, if you look at Bird Box, what is it about? It's about the fact that there's now some alien Cthulhu type creatures, which if you get to see them, your brain just can't handle what it sees. So the people that see these imaginary creatures, they immediately commit suicide, right? So the only way to survive is to not look at them. That's what Bird Box is about. Now, the main character is a woman, a white woman. And she manages to survive by going into a house. And one of the villains, if you will, like one of the evil characters for the first half of the movie, is what appears to be like a MAGA supporter. He's like this bold guy that has a lot of guns, right? And it's obviously implied that he's an evil right-winger. Now, the reason that this is interesting is that everything he says, everything he tries to convince people to do is the correct thing. Like the first thing that he does is like he doesn't want the white woman to get into the house, which people overrule him, and by the way, ends up like being the biggest mistake because everyone gets to die because of her. But anyway, right, there's another thing. The fact that he has guns, right? Like everyone doesn't like that, but apparently they actually came in handy later on. The thing is, like, it was his house, but the moment the refugees go in, and the refugees are very diverse, they overrule him, and they even lock him up in his own home. So the whole thing happens, like this is the house of this guy, right? And he basically says at one point that there's, like, someone knocking at the door, and the guy says, don't let them in. Right? Like, he doesn't want strangers to go into his house. But what ends up happening is that the main characters, right, like the diverse group, they overrule him and they lock him up in his own home. They lock him up in the kitchen or something, I believe. Right? So, they allow this guy to come in. Turns out that this guy is a crazy person. Like, legit insane. And tries to get everyone killed. What does the right-wing evil guy do? He breaks out, gets his gun, and then dies trying to defend all of the other people in the house. How the fuck is that not based? Like, that guy is not even an anti-hero. Like, that guy is the hero. Like, he is in his own home, gets invaded. The people that come in lock him up. And despite all of this, the moment there is danger, the moment, you know, like, he has to defend the pregnant woman upstairs, he goes, gets his gun, and does what requires. And had people listened to him, he would have still been alive, and everyone else in the house would have still been alive. How is that not a based right-wing movie? I do not know. Flying pretty close to the Cubs on here, not gonna lie. Well, we're going to discuss about Barbie in a bit, but it's not cope. It's like there have been movies made in the past, especially communist films, and there's quite a couple of them that they intended to send a communist message. Like they intended to be communist propaganda, but because the propagandists didn't understand reality, because like their head is so far up the ideology's asshole, they actually end up creating something based usually by saying that the communism is bad and the alternative is good. Border control, we voted against that. Oh no, there's an imposter among us. How could that happen? Yeah, pretty much. YouTube keeps crashing your chat. I don't know why. I'm not doing anything different. But I did notice that a lot of websites recently aren't running as they are supposed to. I thought you were talking about Barbie. I will talk about Barbie, but first I gave an example of a different movie that is also a subversion of what it sets up to do. Like, it tries to get right-wingers to look bad, but it ends up actually being good. It's the same thing like the song Keep Your Rifle by Your Side, right? Like, this is a song that was made in Far Cry, and it was supposed to belong to the bad guys, and it's supposed to, you know, like, be an evil song that right-wingers sing. But in reality, it's a pretty base song. Watching the same people that complain about wokeness and feminism coping about Barbie, it's not made for me, while ignoring the deceptive marketing and messaging is very weird. Okay, so like the thing with Barbie is definitely an adult film. Like, it is not a film for children. There's a lot of cursing there. Like, do you want your child to be exposed to potty mouth? Is that what we're at? Like, are we conceding good parenting? Last time I checked, children aren't supposed to curse. So why would I show them a movie that has a lot of foul mouth and cursing in it? But secondly, I have been lectured by the progressive establishment, people far wiser than me, people from the academia, saying that toys don't have a gender. So they are literally saying that, well, actually, you know, there shouldn't be toys for boys and toys for girls. Therefore, Barbie is made for me. Hello, Pixie. The entire Far Cry 5 soundtrack is indeed awesome. Yes. Little children saw it, 4 to 6 year olds. Well, that's their problem. I wouldn't show a progressive movie to a child, an American progressive movie, because I know that it's filled with curse words and shit. Let me find an example. So, oh, keep your rifle by your side. Lyrics. The Hope County Choir. So I'm really curious, like, what exactly of this song is supposed to be evil, right? They'll look high and they'll look low, they'll look everywhere we go, but when the sinners find us, we won't hide. They'll come loud and they'll come fast, but we shoot first and we can last. Keep your rifle by your side. Singing, oh Lord, this earth was made for us. Singing, oh Lord, this sinful life is there enough. So we'll take a stand because we must protect our land. Keep your rifle by your side. As far as I know, defending one's property in any culture is not considered evil. Like, attacking someone is evil. Defending yourself is good. It's why we side with Ukraine, isn't it? Right? Like, being invaded is bad. So how is this lyric of the song convincing me that these people are evil? They'll come day and they'll come night. They'll have our children in their sights. But if they don't have faith, their eyes are blind. They can scream and they can shout, but they can never smoke us out. Keep your rifle by. Leave these people alone. They're not coming for you. Like, from the song, don't fuck around. Literally, that, leave them alone. No, you don't. You know, they'll have bombs and they'll have tanks because they've got money in their banks. But we won't fall as long as we can fight. They'll go on and preach their hate, but they won't pass the gate. Keep your rifle by your side. Again, like, this song is meant to demonize these people. I guess it's because they're Christians, so they must be evil, right? But in reality, I don't see how this is a problem. Like, they have their land, they want to be left the fuck alone, leave them the fuck alone. And unironically, I do not understand. Like, I would like to have, like, a progressive that wrote this song to come and explain to me, like, why is the song bad? Like, what exactly are these people saying that makes them evil? It's like, it's their land. Okay. Leave them alone. Are they paying taxes? Are they paying tax? They're actually paying taxes. Like in the game, they were paying taxes before they went up getting bothered by... Actually, you know, like, this is the good ending in the game if you leave them the fuck alone. Like, they actually give you an opportunity to leave them alone. Right? So, like, the patriarch, the father, or whatever, like, he asks you to fuck off or arrest him. And if you fuck off and you don't arrest him, that's the good ending. That's game over. Like, okay, you left them alone. There's no nuclear Armageddon. There's no nothing. Like, that's it. Self-defense means you take responsibility for your actions. This bothered the leftists. Yeah, but like, unironically, if you leave him alone, you don't fuck around, you don't find out. So like, for those of you who haven't played Far Cry 5, the whole thing is that there is a cult in a city. A small town, right, in the United States. And if you go and you try to arrest the cult leader, it leads up to nuclear Armageddon. Like, that is the official canon ending, right? Because he actually managed to steal a nuke. It's a little bit complex, but basically that's what happens, right? Like, if you try to play the game as it's meant to be played, and you kill Father Joseph Seed, you can't really kill him, and instead you end up with like him detonating a nuclear weapon, right? So you fucked around, you found out. If you leave him alone, that's an option. Literally in the beginning, you leave him alone, you don't do anything. Like, he wants you to arrest him, and you're like, nope, I'm not going to arrest him, and you just walk back. Nothing happens. You didn't fuck around. You don't find out. Did I join X? No. And by the way, I will tell you what is up with X. Why did the Mr. Musk rebrand? It's actually very simple. There is this thing called the honeymoon period of new websites. Like right now, if Trump would create another website, there would be an influx of people. This is what happened with Threads. So basically, he wants to starve them out of attention. Elon Musk rebranding Twitter right now into the X thing. The entire news media is talking about it, and it's not talking about Threads. He is, you know, and Threads was dying anyway. So now he is literally starving them out. It's like whenever someone talks about X, they're not talking about Threads. He wants Threads to become irrelevant. That is the tactic. Now what I think is happening, and this is my opinion, you don't do this overnight. You know, it's not like Elon Musk woke up one day and he was like, hey, you know, like, what if we rebrand into X? And then, you know, like, Threads... No, like, this is probably something that was planned months ago. So, you know, like, the people at Twitter, they're like, okay, well, Facebook is creating a competitor. What can we do? Well, we can sue them. Or, you know, we can also do other things, like, in the social sphere. Like, let's rebrand Twitter into something else, and then people will be talking about it, and they're not going to be talking about Threads, right? So that's what it is. Yeah, it's like a media diversion tactic. Personally, I don't like it. I mean, people are used to Twitter. It is a brand. Now that he changed it, probably not a good thing. You know, Facebook changed it into Meta as well, but at least Facebook didn't change, like, the logo. Like, it's still Facebook. Like, you still talk about Facebook and people know what you're talking about. Long while, this may not be that of a good thing. Especially, like, the letter X is like, meh. At least Meta kind of makes sense. You know, you're on Meta. It's... I think a lot of Far Cry games do that, where if you do what is asked at the beginning, the game ends. The one in Nepal was like that too. Yeah. So, I think like Far Cry 3 doesn't have this. Like Far Cry 3, you're kind of fucked in the beginning no matter what. But like Far Cry 4, you're asked to sit down at a table. And if you sit down, like, yeah, that's the good ending. You can't argue the fact... Actually, yeah, like, the thing with Far Cry 4, and I really like that, you go to this place, Nepal, I think, and it's got, like, this evil dictator, but the people fighting for power, they're just as fucked up. Like, one of them is a progressive leftist which wants to turn the entire country into a Marxist narco state. The other one is like a really strong patriarchal dude that murders a girl the moment he takes power because that girl was challenging his authority. So, like, no matter what you choose, it's bad. And the previous dictator was bad as well, but I think, like, by comparing with the other two, he wasn't as bad. If that makes any sense. But that's the reality of it, you know, like, you have some nations on Earth, and this is why progressives don't want to admit, there are some nations on Earth that have people who have been fighting before we were born, that are fighting right now, and that will fight after we die. And there's nothing you can do in order to change this system. Like, the only thing you could do, I guess, but it's immoral, is colonialism, right? So, like, this is what colonialism did. It's like, okay, well, we took over this island, but the people here are banded in factions, and they're fighting each other. All right, well, let's separate them and build walls and shit, and have, like, a place for each clan so that they don't meet and fight with each other. And if they work for us, we give them food. But it's immoral, right? Like, we don't do that. But, like, this is literally what colonialism did. Like, unironically, I had several people that live in Africa, black individuals, right, who listen to my channel. And they contacted me, and they said, it's like, V, apartheid wasn't bad. And I'm like, what the fuck are you saying? How can you say that? Like, that doesn't make any sense. And this is what they told me. They told me that, well, back then, there were less murders and crime. And I, holy shit, like, really? Right? I don't know if they're right or not, because I didn't look at any statistics, but that's what they claim, so, yeah. Well, colonialism isn't nice, right? Like, the thing is, like, leaving people alone, like, eventually they will sort out that shit. Like, imagine if some aliens came in medieval Europe when, you know, European states were fighting with each other and there was, like, a lot of invasions and barbarism and stuff. Right, so aliens come, like, let's say 1100 BC and start instituting, like, this apartheid in medieval Europe. Would Europeans manage to develop? Would we be where we are now? If that was the case, like, if you have a much more advanced civilization coming over it than, like, forcing you to be peaceful. No. Right? Like, you have to go... Well, it's not necessarily aliens. It can be literally anything that has, like, more technology. Like, people from the future. Like, let's say we from the future travel back in time in medieval Europe, and we decide to pull, like, apartheid. It's like, okay, well, the Germanic tribes over here and the other tribes over this place, and, like, make sure that they don't go over because they might start World War I soon, right? It's just... Europeans should have definitely just kept all their technology for themselves. Well, yeah, that's not how it works, because when you look at the past, they didn't have the same agricultural techniques we have now. So, like, they couldn't make all the food for the growing population, so they had to colonize other places and bring the food from there over here. Like, that's pretty much what colonialism was about. It's like, when you have, like, population increase and population bloom, if you don't have the technology on how to get the most out of the soil, then you have to invade other people. But this is why we don't invade people anymore, because right now the agricultural techniques are so developed that with smaller land, you can grow more crops that entire nations used to do back then. So that's one of the main reasons. Plus, you know, you also have globalism, not globalism as in the ideology, but like the ability for different nations to trade with each other. So like, okay, well, you have Ukraine that makes a lot of grain, right? But they don't have corn. So they export the grain and they import corn and other things that they need. But anyway, right, so let's talk about Barbie. Now, I haven't seen it, but I have listened to some interviews and they're hilarious as fuck. Let me see if I can show you guys. This is the Omoshiroi one. Wait, let me see what it is. Basically, the brain behind Barbie inside the brilliant mind of Greta Gerwig. What I did notice from the trailers, and this is fascinating, the Barbies can be fat. There is a fat Barbie in there. Alright? And I understand from people that have seen it, I haven't confirmed it, like, chat, please tell me if not. There is an amputee Barbie as well. So Barbies can be whatever. All the Kens are Chads. With no exception. There is no fat Ken. Now the interesting part is that you have like a feminized version of Ken, and that's part of the joke. But even the feminized version of Ken looks athletic. There's no Ken that I can identify with that has a little bit of chancla. That doesn't exist, right? So all the Kens are gorgeous. Meanwhile, the Barbies can be whatever. Now let me tell you something else that's interesting. And this is, yeah, all the Kens are Chads. Now here's another thing. In the beginning, the Kens are legitimately oppressed. So what I mean by this, the Barbies have their own homes. The Barbies are the center of attention. However, the Kens are homeless. They live on the streets. Like, the only reason the Kens exist is to give validation to the Barbies. They don't even do sex. And most of the Barbies are sometimes like dismissive of the Kens. They are legitimately second-class citizens. Now, they go into the real world. And the reason they go into the real world is because the Barbie that is the main Barbie, she's getting cellulitis and shit. Give me a second. So the main Barbie gets cellulitis and shit, and she has to go to the real world. But basically the idea is that she is getting old, and I think like there's a metaphor in the movie that like she wants to have children and she didn't, so or something like that. You know, like the eggs. The eggs are running low. But okay, so they go into the real world. And this is where Ken is being treated like a human being for the first time ever. Right? Like, he talks with a woman, and the woman is actually interested in what he has to say. So, basically, Barbie is nice. Well, look, Romania Chat is here, right? Like, she actually enjoyed the Barbie movie. Did you notice that there are fat Barbies, Romania Chat? Did you notice that, I've been told, this is something that I haven't confirmed, but like, there's a Barbie that's an amputee and stuff. All the Kens are Chads, though. Literally every single one, and they're oppressed. Like, they happen to live on the beach. They are homeless. They're second-class citizens. So they go into the real world, and Ken actually notices that he can be treated like a human. So, in the real world, he notices the patriarchy. But the patriarchy that Ken notices isn't the patriarchy that feminists talk about. The patriarchy that he notices is like, okay, he notices horses, cowboys, the president, right? So he goes back into Barbie land, and he wants a vote. Like, it's not even a fascist takeover. He literally gives them the right to vote. Okay? So he brings his patriarchy, which is allowing the Kens to vote, and telling the Kens, hey, you're being oppressed. Right? Now, what's interesting is that the patriarchy is literally Kens and Barbies being in love. So like, the Kens still carry Barbie's purses and shit, but they want to feel validated. Like, that's it. And the interesting thing is that the Barbies like it. Right? Like, the Barbies enjoy Ken's patriarchy. Which is, again, like, literally just like, Ken will carry Barbie's stuff, but as long as Barbie acknowledges what Ken is doing and treats him with a little bit of respect. That is the patriarchy. I'm not fucking kidding you. Like, this is what the writer finds abhorrent. Like, this is literally what makes the main character freak out, because all of a sudden, she's not the center of attention. How the fuck is this a feminist film again? Now hold on, because there's more. I haven't finished. Like, oh my god, this gets better, right? So what does the main character decide to do in order to uproot the Kens. She abducts Barbies that are happy, and feminists brainwash them into thinking that they're being oppressed, in order to get them to cheat on their Kens and start a war between the Kens. So no. Like, let me just backtrack in case you have missed it, because this is you have the Ken bringing patriarchy to Barbie land, and everyone is happy. Okay, the Barbies are happy, the Kens are happy, everyone is happy now. They're forming monogamous relationships. Like, Kens just want to be acknowledged, just want to be respected, and that's it. Like, nothing changes. You know, they're just not second-class citizens anymore. But you have, like, a couple of Barbies that are feminists and don't like the fact that they're equal with the Kens. So they abduct influential Barbies, mind-wipe them, like, put them through a feminist indoctrination, Clockwork Orange shit, gets them to cheat on their Kens, so the Kens are at war with each other. I cannot make it up. This is the plot. This is the plot of the movie, and on top of that, they fortify the elections. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you're a feminist writer. You want to convince people that feminism is good? You're going the wrong way about it. Just saying. Absolutely fascinating that Barbie crashed much more than Oppenheimer. Apparently, they were launched together on purpose. What a clown world we live in. What's interesting is that the red states watched Barbie and the blue states watched Oppenheimer. I'm not kidding. It's hilarious. The biggest reason for agricultural and population growth in Europe and the rest of the world is because of American vegetables. The potato alone probably increased the average calorie intake by 50%. Yeah, and chickens as well. But anyway, I'm not shitting you. Are we the bad guys? Good fucking question. Good fucking question. Like, literally, the only reason that the Barbie is against all of this is because she's not the center of attention anymore. Like the Kens don't do violence towards Barbies. They do not do a hostile takeover. They allow them to vote. Literally 5 minutes. 5 minutes of film is how much it took for the Kens to turn down the entire Barbie patriarchy. I mean, look, the thing is, like, if I would have wrote this, I would have wrote a much better piece than what these writers did. I would have had, like, Ken do Sharia or some shit. You know, force the Barbies to cover up, like, be actual oppressors. But they weren't oppressors. Like, nothing that the Kens did was oppressive. The reason, oh my god, the reason the main Barbie hates it is because her Ken left her. Like, the Ken that she had was like, okay, well, if you're not going to respect me, I'm leaving you. And that was too much for her to handle. So she had to brainwash other Barbies that were happy with their Kens in order to convince them that actually you need to cheat on your Ken so that you can have, like, the Ken war happening. Plot twist, they purposely wanted to make Ken patriarchy seem cool and get women to vote for it. No, but, like, people are saying that I'm coping, that this is not an anti-feminist film. Please tell me how this is not an anti-feminist film, because it totally fucking is. Like, there is no reason that you could watch this movie and say, yeah, feminism is great, when you see that they're oppressing the men. And what's even funnier, like, this is the hilarious shit, okay? At the end of the movie, Barbie goes to live in the real world. So she ruins Kane's patriarchy and then goes to live in the patriarchy. Like, all the Barbies were happy having, like, monogamous relationships with their Ken. Because that's the thing, you know, like, oh my god, well, all of a sudden the Kens are domineering and they're making the Barbies submissive. But they actually enjoy that. Like, the Barbies weren't complaining. Oh my god, like, the Barbie is a housewife. And she's not complaining. You needed the feminist to mind wipe the Barbie in order for her to be like, oh, well, actually, I'm oppressed. Comic book guy, worst feminist fanfic ever. Yes. Literally. It's unintentionally anti-feminist, That doesn't count? What do you mean it doesn't count? It's a great work of art. I don't give a shit. Like, yeah, I will legitimately take my son and be like, look what they're doing. Look at that film. That is feminism in reality. The accurate representation made by a feminist. That's what they want. So Barbie is the movie of go woke, go broke? No, it's not go woke, go broke. It's unintentionally. It goes so woke it becomes like... I don't even... Okay, listen to this. Alright, so we're going to look at the plot as described by Wikipedia. So, stereotypical Barbie and a wide range of fellow Barbie all reside in Barbieland, a matriarchal society where all women are self-confident, self-sufficient, and successful, while their Ken counterparts spend their days engaging in recreational activities at the beach. The Barbies hold all important positions such as doctors, lawyers, and politicians. Beach Ken is only happy when he is with Barbie and seeks a closer relationship, but Barbie rebuffs him in favor of independence and female friendships. Wikipedia doesn't do an accurate job at describing the fucked up situation Ken is. All the Kens are homeless. All the Kens are hardwired in order to seek validation, while the Barbies are dismissing them as if they're not even human. To call them second-class citizens is an understatement. Right? So when Ken goes to the real world, he's like, hold on a little bit. Like, this is not right. Like, we're humans as well. We should demand that we have equal rights. Right? So this is the patriarchy that is being said. It's not like the patriarchy where the Ken is oppressing the Barbies. It's literally Ken going his own way. He's like, look, we still want our Barbies to love us, but we just want to feel acknowledged. We just want to feel like we're human beings. Right? So, like, if you want us to keep doing the stuff we're doing for you, which is carrying your luggage, singing guitar for you, taking you to a nice walk at the beach, if you want all that, all you gotta do is respect us. That's the patriarchy. Returning to Barbieland, he persuades the other Ken into taking over. Literally 5 minutes it took to dismantle the system. 5 fucking minutes. And he's taking over by voting, which, by the way, the Barbies fortified the election. The Barbies are subjugated into submissive roles such as maid housewives and agreeable girlfriends. But the thing is, like, they're happy. All of them are happy. Barbie arrives and tries to convince Ken and Barbies to return to the way things are, only to be rebuffed. Like, the Barbies themselves are telling her to fuck off, Democrat Barbie. Leave us alone, we're happy. She becomes depressed. But Gloria gives her an inspirational speech about what it means to be a woman. So, basically, the Barbies free themselves from the Kens and manipulate them to fight amongst themselves, allowing the Barbies to regain their positions of power and prevent the Kens from altering the Constitution to enshrine male superiority. They weren't even trying to enshrine male superiority. Like, the thing that they call patriarchy isn't a real patriarchy. It's just normal people being normal. Like, being a couple and starting a family. That's what it is. And again, like, the funny part is, the matriarchy that was in the beginning made Barbie be unhappy. In fact, even after she destroys Ken's dream, she's still unhappy and she fucks off. She goes to the real world. Like, that's the most mind-boggling thing. That, like, it shows that leftists are incapable of constructing something, right? Like, they go to a system and it's bad, right? So the Kens make the system better. She's not happy. She destroys the system and then leaves. I'm just like, what is the moral that you're supposed to get from this movie? Not only that, they have a white Barbie as the Barbie of a POC family, meaning mom bought a white Barbie for her POC daughter, completely undoing the idea that she needs to see herself in her own doll. Oh, I'm not even going to microanalyze this because there's so much to talk about. Holy shit. Yeah, it's not even a failed satire. It's just like, if I was to make a movie, like, unironically, if I wanted to make a propaganda film that would get feminists to watch it, that's what I do. Like, look, there is nothing that I would change about it. This is perfect. There's nothing you can change. So if I wanted to make a movie where it's like a satire of feminism and I want feminists to watch it and be like, look how monstrous the ideology is, this is what I would make. Like, I wouldn't change anything. This is perfect. Helps destroy and then moves to another country to destroy. Yeah, like, literally, she's going from place to place to ruin. There is another movie which is literally like that. Fuck, I forgot the name. It's Happyville, Happy Land, Pleasantville. Oh my god, Pleasantville, the movie. It has a similar story. So you have like this brother and sister who's from a single mother family. Like they're having problems. Like in the beginning, it shows that the sister is smoking cigarettes and she's dressing promiscuous at school, right? And the mother doesn't care about the children. Like she's going to see her boyfriend and, you know, like completely neglects the kids. And the brother likes watching old American films. Like he likes watching these black and white TV shows, but I guess like he's an incel, right? Because he's not good with the girls. He doesn't know how to behave. So anyway, they get isekai'd into the actual film. Like in the black and white thing, which is like completely traditional, like American traditional sitcom, right? So, yeah, starting Spider-Man. Now, everything is perfect. Like in that movie that they get isekai'd, everyone has a happy life. Like they don't even understand what hardship is. So the sister is too bored, right? Like she literally says like she's bored of this, even though like she's got people that are interested in her, like she's got everything she wants. She's bored. So she starts teaching people about how to masturbate, about how to have sex. Like she's bringing all of this degeneracy into this innocent world. And by doing this, like the moment people start like masturbating, they become colorful, right? But the thing is like when they become colorful, they also become sad and depressed. And like by doing this, she then encourages a gender struggle between the men and the women. Because like the idea was that you had this gender roles where, yeah, like the woman was staying home and working, but the man was going out and bringing home the money, right? But now women still didn't want to work. Like they didn't get jobs or anything, but they wanted equality with the men. So they wanted like to be able to cheat on the men, to not do the house chores, but at the same time to get the money from the men. And obviously, like, this caused social friction. And, you know, at the end of the day, like, what ends up happening is that they completely ruined this little society. And I'm thinking, like, okay, but, like, what is the moral of the movie? Like you just showed that this is why people should keep immigrants out. Like, these people immigrated into this innocent utopia, and with their new mindset and culture, completely destroy it. I mean, it took, like, 1 week. And they already had a fire. They didn't even know what a fire is. They never encountered that shit before. Because like the only reason that they had a firefighter brigade was to help the cat, which was up the tree, to calm down, right? So when he goes to the fire brigade, they had no idea what a fire is. They never experienced it. And it took them less than a week. Your anti-feminist movie would be too subtle. There are people who unironically think Starship Trooper satirizes fascism. Yeah, but like, it is what it is. You know, you just make it and hope that a couple that's the thing, right? Bad propaganda, like if you try to stuff a message too hard, it becomes cringe. Good propaganda is when you allow some interpretation. You know, if some people want to interpret it that way, that's fine. But I guarantee to you, like, the overwhelming amount of people are going to look at Barbie and they're going to say, yeah, well, hold on a little bit. Like, that, Barbie, you're a little bit too fucked up. Like, that's, what are you doing? You have to accept people's denial of their flaws. Yeah, I guess I should. Starship Troopers was awesome. Yeah, like the thing is, like, as a... Like, even if it was a parody of fascism, like, you don't watch Starship Troopers and say that fascism is bad. Like, at no point did I think that the universe of Starship Troopers is like Warhammer 40k, like a universe where you don't want to be under any circumstance. I never felt that the Federation is like a form of government that is scary or evil. Like, when I watched Starship Troopers for the first time, I didn't even know what politics are. I didn't even know what capitalism is. I was a kid, right? And I understood from watching the movie that they're at war with an alien race. And yeah, I mean, it's brutal because, well, they're fighting for humanity's survival. But I never thought that it's like a horrible place. Or that the civilians in Starship Troopers are mistreated. The only thing that is, I guess, like a little bit bad is the corporal punishment, right? When they whip him. But at the end of the day, he didn't have the knowledge how to fix that fucking helmet, did he? And he did ask a person to remove the helmet, which got him killed. So honestly, like in any other situation, getting another person killed would be years in prison. But in the Starship universe, he gets a couple of lashings. And don't get me wrong, I would prefer to get a couple of lashings over years in prison any day. Like if the police came in and said, V, you gotta decide 10 lashes or 5 years in prison. I was like, give me the lashes. I mean, holy shit. Yeah, he got a subordinate kill. Like in the real world, that's court-martial and prison. There's no doubt about it. Unless, like you can justify that you did everything by the book. And somehow, your subordinate died anyway and it was his fault. Unless you can justify that, which, by the way, Rico couldn't. Yeah, exactly. You have to guide people towards your conclusion, not use them as a cudgel to beat them with. Also, he had the choice, lashings or leave the military. I didn't know about that. Because I haven't seen the movie in a while. But I assume, like, he didn't have the choice. But okay, like, if he had the choice, even more power to you. It's actually interesting. See, in the book, when you actually read it, the system is described a lot more interestingly. It turns out that the way they were doing punishment is the higher up the responsibility, the worse the punishment. So, for example, a officer could be hanged for the same crime that a private would just be lashed. So basically, like this creates a very interesting dilemma because when you get a promotion, you actually do get the mantle of responsibility. Because you're thinking, all right, so if I don't take the promotion, if I fuck up, these are the consequences. But if I take the promotions and I do the same mistake, then the punishments are harder. The problem with Starship Troopers is that the presuppose that military government is a solution to every problem. It is not. Well, it's a fictional system, right? And I don't think like there is a government that would be a perfect solution for everything. Starship Troopers were trash. Weren't the humans the invaders there? The aliens were on their own planet, not on Earth. What were the humans doing there? Okay, so that's actually a good question and I can answer. The aliens operated as a hive mind. So you have like the hive mind and then you have the drones. So they're a collectivist system. Collectivism means fascism, communism, right? Like it is the same ideology that the far left tries to push, like everyone needs to think the same, right? That's what the definition of collectivism in the political sciences mean. Humans are individualists. Like the Starship Federation had no control over that group of humans, which were like a religious cult, to go out and colonize a planet that was owned by the bugs, right? But the bugs, they thought that, okay, well, just like every bug belongs to the overmind, they thought that humans are the same. So they thought that the humans were trying to colonize the planet when, in fact, it was just like an offshoot of humanity. It was just like a splinter group. But like the bugs couldn't even fathom that type of existence. So if anything, it was like a miscommunication, if you will. No, the bugs didn't launch the asteroid first. It's actually a little bit more complex. Like if you read the book, there's more to that. So the first of all, like humans didn't consider the bugs as intelligent, right? Like they would perform experiments on the bugs and shit, but that didn't piss the bugs off. Like that wasn't the reason that the bugs were upset. It's kind of like an anthill, you know, like you have the ants, and if you kill a couple, like 5 or 10, like that's not enough to alert the whole hive. What really pissed the bugs is when the humans started colonizing their planet. But it wasn't like the Federation that was trying to colonize the planet. In fact, the Federation was issuing a warning, like do not colonize, you know, do not engage with this area. And the humans did it anyway. And that's when the bugs killed the humans, and then they launched the meteor at Earth. Right, so there is a little bit more to the conflict. But even then, you know, like, as a human supremacist, which honestly you have to be, I don't give a fuck. Like, the bugs were the enemy. And even then, it's like, The humans could have eradicated the bugs a lot easier. Like, they had the technology to do it, but because of some military failure and a lot of political intrigue, they didn't. But like, when the humans actually use all their technology, the bugs don't stand a chance. So the bugs wouldn't consider the humans to be equals anyway. Yeah, like, I mean, it's a miscommunication thing, but it's also a species thing, right? Like, just like we don't care about the bugs didn't care about us. So meanwhile, moreover, it's not clear whether the planet was even colonized by the bugs, yet it was just considered to be off limits. Yeah, but it's implied that that is the reason why it was off limits, because there was bug presence there. But even then, you know, like, if you're talking about other species, so you're not even talking about humans, or even a humanoid race, the idea that if you are nice to it, it will be nice in return is ridiculous. Like, there are so many assumptions to be made here, right? So you want to treat a hive mind the same way you expect to be treated. I don't even think that's possible. The bugs already killed all humans encountered. The humans decided to not live in bug space. Mormons ignored the warning. The bugs decided to not only kill the Mormons, but all the other humans. Yes, because the bugs didn't know what a Mormon is. Like, they didn't know the human political system, right? The bugs was a species, an invasive species that was colonizing different planets, and everything that was not a bug was set to kill. So it was either you're a bug or you're food, right? So this is what really annoys me when I see people defending the bugs, saying it's like, oh yes, but like the humans tried to colonize first or some shit. No, that's not how it works. It's like, it's a species that doesn't understand the same morality and logic that we have. The book sounds better, the movie is trash. Yes, because the director who made the movie didn't read the book. Like, he actually flat out said he wanted to attack fascismus. Like, he had a desire to go after fascism. And it's like, okay, well, I'm sorry, but like, first of all, you failed. Like, just having some fascist paraphernalia, but nothing of fascist ideology in the movie. I mean, the only thing fascist in the movie is the fact that there's ranks in a hierarchy. But even then, you're focusing on the military. Like, the entire movie is through the eyes of a soldier. Like, of course, you know, every military on Earth is fascist by design. Like, you cannot have a military without ranks. You cannot have a military where the soldiers get to do whatever the fuck they want. Like, a military with egalitarianism is what the bugs had. Right? So the bugs had actually the overmind, which is like the one above all, if you want. And every other bug was equal. Right? So like that I guess would be... But basically, like, this is what the author of the book does. Like the bugs are the commies. They're the very definition of what the left ideology wants people to be like. Everyone thinks the same. Everyone is equal. Everyone shares their stuff. Right? Like, this is the collectivist mindset. The Federation is the individualist mindset. It's like, okay, well, if you want to go somewhere, you have to prove yourself. It's a meritocracy. We should have open borders with the bugs, George Soros. Verhoeven was a commie, so of course not communism was fascism, of course, according to him. Yeah, pretty much. And it's interesting, like, if you look at Starship Troopers, they even have, like, gender equality. They have men and women showering in the same place. They didn't have unemployment because they all have a task to do. Well, what's even... Okay, so if you actually read how the world works, Rico's parents aren't citizens, they're civilians. But they're rich as fuck. They're bankers. Like, not only that, throughout the entire course of the movie, the main character is discouraged from becoming a citizen and having the right to vote, right? Now, it's interesting because service guarantees citizenship. That's what they say, right? However, it's not the only path to citizenship. It just guarantees citizenship, but there were lotteries. So, for example, you had to do things that would show that you're sacrificing yourself for the country, and you could get citizenship. You didn't have to serve in the military. That just guaranteed. But, like, for example, if they were making a new drug, let's say Pfizer was creating a new vaccine, and they required testing, Now, they would test it on animals first, and then they would test it on, but eventually they would require to do the human trials. If you volunteer for that, you are placed in a lottery and you can get citizenship, right? Basically, it's described that any person that wanted to become a citizen, they would find a job or a task for them to perform so that they could show that they're worthy of becoming citizen. It was basically like the idea that something given has no value, so you have to earn it, right? Now, it's also described that if a person, let's say, was blind and deaf and stuck in a wheelchair and they wanted to become a citizen, they would have a job for him. Like, for example, they would give him something equally ridiculous, like counting the strings of hair on a caterpillar or some shit like that, But like, basically, they would give him something so that he can prove, like, even if it was something mundane, because the idea was, like, every person needs to contribute, right? But if you want to become a citizen and you're blind, you're deaf, you can touch things, they'll be like, okay, well, let's see if this person genuinely wants to be a citizen. All right, well, give him to count the strings of hair on a caterpillar. If he can do it, and he does it for like a year with different caterpillars, that person must really want to become a citizen. So, okay, if he does it, then fine. But it's interesting. I like that system in a way. I think it's modeled after the British Empire, right? Like, if the Brits would colonize an island, they would do it differently than other empires. I think, like, eventually the French did it as well. But basically, you could become a British citizen if you served in the British military. So you go to the British military, they indoctrinate you into liking the country, king and country type of thing. And after that, you were given your land and you were treated like a British subject. I don't need to know the deep political metaphors. It's not that deep. I don't know. It's interesting. When you read the book, it's a lot more explained. But, like, it's not fascism. That's the point. They gave them support jobs. They were less dangerous, but you could still be killed in service due to harsh environments. No, they were, like, more than support jobs. In the book, there were, like, okay, so you could be, like, a police officer. You could be a firefighter. But I think it's mentioned that you could also give your body for test trialing on certain drugs. So, like, there were many things. The French also had the French Foreign Legion, and you can become Français par sang. Yeah. There's many things. Like, the ideology in Starship Troopers isn't made up by the author. Like, he already looked into the real world and picked up a couple of things that he saw in history and tried to incorporate it. But anyway, it's not fascism. There's no fucking way you can look at it. Like fascism is everything within the state, nothing outside the state, right? And meanwhile, in this scenario, everyone is trying to persuade you from joining the military. Like, everyone is telling you, no, you're shit. You're not going to do it. Don't do it, right? So you need a person that, like, legitimately wants to prove themselves. And even in the military, they're like, oh, well, why don't you quit? Don't like it? Quit. You can go home. Just go home. Why are you staying here? Go home. Right? So, like, it's literally the opposite of fascism. Like, in fascism, it would be that everyone is telling you to join the military. And when you join the military, there's no way of leaving it. That's how a fascist society would be like. French via spilled blood. I should tell my artist that. In the book, it only mentions military. Heinlein clarified in an interview the options outside of armed service. Yes, which is what I've been talking about. Didn't the Romans do the same? If you served in the military for 20 plus years, you became a citizen and with the right to vote. Yes. Like, these are systems that have been tried in the past. I guess, like, the only problem happens when you have too many people joining and not enough land, so then you need to conquer more shit. But at least, like, with Starship Troopers, they already had more planets, so... Quitters are cringe. Fascism, probably. They don't even give you the option of quitting. Like, there is no such thing. It's, like, mandatory. Literally the first thing they did in the military in Starship Troopers is point out where the door is and tell you to leave at your first inconvenience. Yeah, like that's what I was mind blown when people were like comparing it to fascism. It's like, what the fuck are you talking? Like, the option of leaving? Jesus. Like most fascist nations, the first thing they do is to lock the borders, not to keep people from coming in, but to keep people from running out. Look at the Roman Empire now and how they collapsed. Every single country. Well, first of all, like, what the fuck is a collapse? You know, I've yet to have it described to me. Every single edgy political commentator talks about the collapse. What is a collapse? You know, like, are we talking like the government falling? That there's no more tax man? Like, what is a collapse? But secondly, every single nation on Earth is like a human being. It eventually goes all dies and someone new gets to replace them. You know, like your kid. Or whatever. It's the natural state of things. Like every political system eventually crumbles and there's something else that replaces it. There's like, oh my, there is no country that is eternal. I mean, even Egypt. You know, you can say, well, Egypt is because like Egypt existed since the pharaohs and shit. Yeah, but they had like different political systems. They had different struggles. They had different, you know, like it went from the pharaohs, it went all the way up until Islam. No more tax, I want collapse now. Well, see, you think that way, but then you get to have, like, gangs requiring protection money. At least the taxation is, like, you know how much you need to pay, and you gotta pay it every year. But, like, with gangs, it's like, alright, well, now the Don Corleone is boss, and you have to give him protection money. Oh, look, Don Corleone got killed by his rival, Don Santiago, and now you have to pay Don Santiago, even though you paid Don Corleone last week. And then Don Santiago gets taken out by Don Michelo, and you gotta pay Michelo as well. So it's not necessarily like a good thing if there's no government. China has been eternal. Same thing with China, dude. Like, China went from an empire to... What, were they ever a democracy? I don't think they were a democracy. But they had, like, the three warrior kingdoms, and then they had the... like, right now they're having communism. Right? Like, just because it maintains the name doesn't mean that it maintains the same government and political system. And not to mention, like, the real China is now Taiwan. Like, unironically, the people who don't know the story is that the official Chinese government sought refuge in Taiwan, and then the Americans threatened to nuke Mao. Actually, no, right now that I'm reading the thing, there was a general... an American general that was begging the Senate to give him the nuclear weapons. King Empire, Republic of China, People's Republic of China. Oh, thank you for the lore. What was the name of the American general? Fuck, it's on the tip of my tongue. McCarthy, some shit like that, I think. And he was like begging the Senate, give me the nukes, give me the nukes, let me on him, give me the nukes. China have been many different kingdoms. They got conquered many times. Among others, the Mongolians took over China. Yeah. MacArthur, okay. Yeah, the relationships between China and the United States would have been very different if MacArthur had his way. Do you think like China would have... Ors, are you there? Would China have made the anime if MacArthur had his way? Would we see Chinese animation now? The commies in the State Department handed China to the CCP. I didn't read that lore yet. The book fine, it just comes off as very Boy Scout in its morality, yeah. He wanted to create a nuclear no-go zone. Yeah, anyway, I'll end it here. Oh god, no, why do you say no? Like with Japan, right, it took 2 nukes and now we have tentacle hentai and shit. Like, I think it was a little bit too far. Not McCarthy like Red Scare McCarthy. So like, during the Taiwan standoff, when the Chinese government sought refuge on Taiwan, the United States came to Taiwan's help. And there was a general by the name of MacArthur, and he wanted to get access to nuclear weapons to deploy them on Mao Zedong. Like, that is historical. That's what I'm talking about. So I'm thinking, like, if he would have gotten his way, would we get anime from China now? China already makes animation. Yeah, but it doesn't make anime. Tentacle hentai is older than the... Yeah, but like, we're comparing like quality, you know? Just because it existed in some form before doesn't mean it... By the way... Sorry about that. The story of tentacle hentai is very interesting. I will tell you. So, Japan has an interesting history with the black ships. Like honestly, the United States BTFO'd Japan like several times, like completely rearranging its entire way of life. So, Japan used to be... And by the way, like, Japan genuinely had a plausible reason of being seen as the victims in World War II, despite all the atrocities they did. They did point out, it's like, look, motherfucker, we were a closed state. We had our borders and shit. We just wanted to be left the fuck alone, right? You guys opened us up, and now we require resources to keep up with the rest of the world. We require oil in order to keep up the rest of the way of life. So the fuck do you want from us? But anyway, Japan used to actually be a closed state. Like you literally couldn't go... Like if you go on a Japanese port to sell your vacuum cleaners, you'd have had a Japanese guy going like, oh, we don't need your shit here, please leave. If you didn't leave, they would shoot you. With arrows, because they didn't have gunpowder. So the Americans go there, and they're told to fuck off, and they don't like that, so they bring steamboats onto the Japanese port. It's kind of like going back in time with our technology to the Roman Empire and explaining to the Roman Empire, like, look, this is a rocket launcher, look what it can do, you know, like, I mean, they're going to be, let me put it this way, if you go on Google and you look Japan black ships, it is so ingrained into the psyche of their country that only the nuclear attacks can compare, right? Like, they were completely taken aback by the sheer power and destruction that the American Navy could do with only 2 ships. So, Japan opens up. They modernize incredibly fast. It's also very fascinating. Like, there is a documentary on YouTube that I recommend. It's the first Japanese traveling to the United States. It's very beautiful. So like, the first thing that he had was like, how does he learn English? Because there were no English teachers in Japanese. So he had to first learn Portuguese, and from the Portuguese, he learned English. But anyway, right, so he goes to the United States, completely shocked by how wasteful the Americans are, because like he could see like tin cans on the beach. Like, in Japan, it was a very expensive metal, and, you know, like, they would never throw it away like that. Was really shocked that the Americans didn't know where George Washington's descendants are. It's like, what do you mean? Like, this motherfucker founded your country and you don't know where his descendants are? And like, people were like, yeah, I think like he lives in that house. Like, he's got a great granddaughter and she lives in such place. And it's like, what? You don't know for sure? Anyway, right? It's a different story. But the moment Japan opened up, Christians wanted to Christianize Japan, right? So like, they send their monks and they send their priests, and they're freaking out over the Japanese customs. The Japanese customs had like women walking bare-chested. They would shower in public. Like, that was normal. And you had like these priests, just, oh my God, oh Dios mío, sinful, right? So Japan has a culture where they don't like to be shamed. Which means that the emperor realized, oh, well, fuck, you know, like, these Westerners, they're shaming us. Well, let's ban porn. So, every depiction of pornography was banned. Now, you have the same system even today. This is why they have their mosaic censorship, right? Like, you play a Japanese hentai game, and you're like, well, why the fuck are they censoring literally the fucking? Like, this is why I'm playing the game. This is, like, why I'm watching. Like, literally the thing that I want to watch is being censored. Why? This is why. I mean, the laws remained. It's not the same law, but it evolved over time, and you have, like, the same mindset, right? So, how did they get around the censorship? Well, they got around the censorship. It's like, okay, well, this is not a penis going in a vagina. This is a part of the monster. Like, the tentacle is shaped like that. And this is why when you actually get to see the tentacles, they're not censored. And I think there was another law. I may be wrong, but I haven't verified this. I only heard it on the internet that they had to depict pubic hair every single time. Like, they had to create realism. So in order not to have pubic hair, it's like, oh, is the 5,000-year-old vampire that's too young to have pubic hair. I don't know if this is true or not, though. It sounds a little bit far-fetched. The Dutch were the only people who were allowed to trade with Japan for the longest time. The Portuguese tried spreading Christianity. We just wanted trade. Ah, I see. Anyway, I'll end it here. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care.